Good space time, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of the Citizen Web3 podcast, a source for educational insights into the Web3 universe and your connection hub to discovering the people that contribute to building the decentralized world. Today, we are joined by Blas from Composable. We talk about innovation, creativity, the Wild West, and having fun with crypto. We discussed friction when using technology, the path from a professor to a president, and charisma. Finally, we touch on faith, tribalism, communities, and the value of vote. If you enjoy the Citizen Web3 podcast, please share this episode to your favorite social platform and help us spread Web3 values into the universe.
Lightning contributed to push the boundaries of the industry. Crypto is cool again, so it's fun to be here. You only live once, right? And the best you can do is use your time the best you can and not waste your time. It's also like the Wild West, still the Wild West, and that's also pretty exciting to me, cross-pollination, one block at a time.
Hello everyone, welcome to a new episode of the Citizen Web3 podcast. Today I have Blas from Composable Finance with me. Blas, hi, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, man, I've been actually trying to record an episode with you guys, with somebody from Composable for a while. So it took us a while to get connected, but finally we are here. Blas, can you please introduce yourself to myself, the listeners? Tell us what you do, how did you get to Web3, and how did life get you here, man?
Yeah, of course. So I'm Blas, 35-year-old. I live in Buenos Aires, Argentina. So I studied economics and then did a master's in finance. Always liked tech since I was a kid. So I think I got into crypto because of Bitcoin. I remember like Bitcoin coming in and trying to understand it and spending so much time and, just like really seeing that this was something groundbreaking on the technology and the impact of like into our lives. And, after that, like basically as well, like we felt the same with Ethereum, not really understanding what was it about at the beginning, but really so excited, and then after this, I realized, I just want to get into crypto. I want to work in this industry. It kind of started forming, right? Started seeing like more and more projects. So the first time I started working in crypto was building a derivatives exchange on top of the Lightning Network. That was my first job. So I worked there as a first kind of employee on the startup. Then, after this, I moved on to working with rollups. Worked on Ethereum land, building rollups. On the team that today is Linea on Consensus. And then after working on this, I moved to Composable to sort of get my feet wet and see how to shape the interoperability space and make interaction between different chains, not only one, smooth. And I thought it was very exciting, and I've been with Composable ever since, and just enjoying the ride now. Crypto is cool again, so it's fun to be here.
Crypto is always cool, man. Crypto is always cool.
I agree.
But let me dig a little bit. Let's dig into your story a little bit, if you don't mind. But okay, you told me your crypto story. You worked here, there. Okay, but why Web3? How did you get here? What drew you to Web3? Why not work in an IT company? Why not have your own company? Why not, work for Microsoft? Why not do anything else?
I've done most of this, right? I had my own startup since when I was when I came from university, build something that was meant to be like kind of intersection between, like statistics and like amateur football, soccer. We had like a bunch of users. It worked, it was nice. After this, worked a bit in cybersecurity, work in the banking industry. So I've been doing pretty much like many things, but crypto is so exciting and so special. Like it's so free. It moves so fast. It is so like the barriers to entry are so low. So it creates an environment for innovation and creativity that I think it has very, very little comparison. I think now maybe with AI on a different level, we're seeing something different, but like special as well. I'm not particularly interested myself in AI, but like I see some of the conditions that we've seen in crypto there as well, where anybody can come with something and like launch it into market pretty quickly, and it's very novel, and it defies also the way we coordinate as human beings. So to me, it has always been so exciting to see it, and then to see how the space is progressing at the technical level, but also at the interest level from the society and also investment and people just coming up with new ideas that shape progress and the trends. So really, like I think being in crypto is in or Web3, it just has another pace, and it's exhilarating.
What is the least exciting thing about the crypto industry for you today?
I don't know. To be honest, that's a good question. Like, uh, I don't know. I don't think there's anything, right now that I think, this is horrible. I think pretty much everything it's fun or, it's interesting. Um, I think we still have a lot to do and work and improve. These are certain things that I see. We're still is a bit difficult to use all this technology. It still is. It's easy to get your funds locked or get hacked by somebody or whatever, and not understand where you're getting into. But it's also like the Wild West, still the Wild West, and that's also pretty exciting to me. So I don't. There's nothing specifically where I feel like, wow, this is really bad.
Okay, okay. We will get back to this point, but I was just wanted to hear too, because you were, using a lot of adjectives, and I wanted to get into like some of the things that a bit deeper. But okay, but what's the personal goal of Blas in this space? Where are you? I'm not okay. This is not an interview, right? It's not like where do you see yourself in 5 years from now?
No,
But
no, no.
like
Yeah, yeah.
what's your personal goal? Like what's the mission? What are you trying to achieve? Money, fame, cure cancer? I don't know. Like man, what's driving you?
I think
Apart from excitement, of course, which you
no.
mentioned.
Yes, yes. I think I'd say so just believe in something. Like particularly, I do believe in this idea of technology that allows you to do things in a non-custodial way, like really like very much autonomously and free in some way, and be part of building something that allows people with these principles uh, to do more things. So if I'm able to be part of this, like okay, like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, people were not able to do this, right? Just for instance, like send money to Africa, right? Like I remember, like the first time I went to Africa, I met a person there. We became friends, and I was living in Argentina. I could send like this person like $10, right? Like and in like 10 minutes. That was mind boggling because I come from a country where sending money is difficult, like receiving money is difficult, and sending it to Uganda, like from like that was mind boggling, and I think being part of like this, movement that enables this, I just think it's inspiring, and I think still there's a lot of things we can do on that direction that just makes me be willing to be working hard and I'm part of this. Of course, there's
I must
there's
say
there's
it's
there's
crazy.
yeah, sorry, go on.
Go on, no, please go on, Blas,
I mean,
please.
there's also, I think pretty much everybody who's been in crypto Web3, it's a bit of a degen, or we got carried out on on trying to figure out what's coming in, and sometimes seeing where the alpha is and investing and all this. There's always a component, I think, of it, of genuine interest and challenge there, of making money. But I think if you really want to make money, there's plenty of industries, right? Like this is just yet another industry to make money, right?
It's crazy thinking that, all you have to do to transfer 10 billions over a border is take any book, circle 12 random words, and that's it. You don't need anything else. Not any wallets, not any ledgers, not any USBs, no nothing. Just remember 12 words, actually. You don't even need a book, to be honest, if you're very clever. Well, I wouldn't advise anyone to do that, but yeah.
Exactly,
Unless
exactly.
how much you're transferring. What about what about what about wait before we run off here, because I will bring you back here. I promise. I want to see. It's very interesting to me always to see like where is the mission of Composable Finance today, and I want to see if it meets for you, because it's curious for me always to try and see whether the guests that come on the show, we have a lot of founders over the years, and sometimes they talk about their mission and they talk about the mission of the projects, and sometimes you can like, oh, but, and I'm curious what's here for you, at least. How do you, maybe not what's the mission of Composable, but what is the mission of Composable for you, because that was your mission.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, I think at a high level there are kind of two big drivers of Composable's mission. One is to reduce friction of using technology that is, as I mentioned, decentralized, non-custodial. I think that's one thing, and the second thing is to become like a unifying force to remove this fragmentation that exists, and it is like a sort of a byproduct of the first, right? So as we progress, it gets more complicated, it gets trickier, and in some ways, it actually hurts us. So all this that I talked in the beginning of, wow, look at this technology, what allows us to do. This is exciting. Now we can do it cheaper, we can do it faster. Well, but now it just became more difficult, or now we cannot obviously do this because of this. So I think Composable is trying to be part of being this force that sort of tries to bring the industry back to not lose those new features that are exciting, or that allow these new features that are very exciting not to break onto what we have achieved so far. So I think that's one of the key concepts of Composer that I personally can be very much aligned with.
Allow me to play devil's advocate. I promised you in the beginning I will do it. So, and not to say that this is my private opinion, by no means, in fact, but I do want to ask sometimes questions that might be a little bit uncomfortable, because it's curious always to hear the answer. It opens much more interesting points to debate, in my opinion. So you mentioned, a very loud mission. This is something that I connect with personally a lot, to be honest. And, you're obviously been into crypto for a while. And we've seen it over the last 11 12 years I've been in this industry. It's crazy. It goes boom, 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 bam. You mentioned Lightning Network, and again I'm gonna play devil's advocate here. Now today Lightning Network, by many people, even by many, I would say, industry leaders, isn't considered to be a useful tool. I mean, the last 6 or whatever or 7 years nothing happened. It's run by a couple of centralized nodes. And what I'm trying to, the devil's advocate I'm playing here, I love your passion, man. Don't get, this is the fire is amazing. But what if, I mean, this is crypto, and look what happens with Lightning Network, and it's such a promising still today project, in my opinion, that has a lot of potential. But let's see what, there's no economy there, in my opinion, which is missing, of course. But anyways, what about, with such a loud mission, imagine it doesn't go. Wouldn't that like blow you completely from the inside of like, what would you do like if it doesn't go, if the mission of Composable doesn't succeed in what you're saying, just like Lightning so far hasn't succeeded in pretty much doing very similar thing to what you were describing? That's why I went here.
True, but like
And I'm sorry for the uncomfort.
no, but I think the sort of the mission of Lightning, I think it has kind of been achieved, but not by Lightning, if you want, right? Like so in some way, like the sort of the principles and the people who got excited about this and pushed a bit the boundaries sort of showed in some way that, well, man, like you can send money, you can do it quickly, you can do it cheap, you can do it fast. Like, don't settle on what we used to have, and still, like, be decentralized, secure. You get most of the principles of the base layer. And like now, you can do it with other networks. You can do it with stable coins, which was also one of I think one of the limitations of Lightning, right? Like, you had to settle onto this like sort of very volatile asset. Now you can send assets pretty fast, secure, decentralized. Even in some way, like, you can even use like networks that give you full anonymity, and it's cheap, it's fast. So I think, Lightning contributed to push the boundaries of the industry. I think the solution was, I mean, it's very easy to say it now, right? But it was perhaps incomplete. It was uh, like, not what the industry needed, but I have all than more than but respect on it, and I think it has been a major driver of innovation. So, I hope, Composable actually has an understanding of what we have to do, what the market needs. But I have no doubt that even if it didn't have, we would have been part of pioneering the sort of shaping what we can become as as an industry.
I like that. I like that answer. It's what more or less connects with me, right? If something doesn't happen, then yeah, what happens to the industry as a result of that. Still, Lightning Network, as you say, happened in another way, right? I mean, the industry finds its own kind of exits out of it. On exits, I cannot not help to ask you. I'm sorry, I'm gonna be stigmatic. You said you're Argentinian. Of course, we're gonna talk about Javier Milei. I mean, our podcast is a lot about anarchy. We have writers and a lot of people come on and talk about values. They're, in my opinion, are missing so much in Web3 today. Okay, I'm not a fan of politicians, but Javier Milei is definitely an interesting character. What's your opinion as somebody who lives there?
I can give you a bit of a color element. Is that I studied economics at the Public University of Buenos Aires, and I got like last year I got monetary policy um, by Javier Milei. So, like, 10 years ago he was my professor in monetary policy, and so, my angle from, like, sort of analyzing and judging him is very much biased to my personal relationship with him. I mean, like, as a student, right? But like, in a course that we were like 30 people, and like really being able to see this character, and it's been crazy, like, see his evolution from, somebody who was a professor, then, was like a political analyst, got very famous, got very, like, popular, into just being a congressman, and then like a president in like 3 years, right? From zero to being a president. um, I think he's somebody who came to shake the system. I think he's crazy. He's really crazy. But I think, he's somebody who believes on what he's doing, um, and I have respect for this. I might disagree with small things, whatever, but like, I I know I can look at somebody in the face, and I know they're doing what they believe is the best, and they have really, like, sort of analyzed the problem. It's not that they're like, improvising. So but I also really like to have somebody that is like charismatic. I think, charisma is a very powerful tool, and it just helps you a lot. So yeah, it's exciting times, but the country being part of this transformation is actually struggling a lot right now.
Man, there was a lot of charismatic characters, like not very positive one. Mussolini, Hitler, Julius Caesar. They murdered a lot of people. I'm not by far. I don't think there's any similarities there. But what I'm saying is, don't you think that charisma in especially a person who wants to lead other people can also backfire sometimes in the decentralization of consensus.
I think I understand. I mean, yes, fully. But I think it's almost impossible to introduce like groundbreaking, transformations without charisma. Like you really need to convince so many people to do something different and touch their interest and actually like, take a leap of faith. And it's not possible if, at some point, they can believe in the system, they can believe in your party, but they actually need to believe in you as a leader, right? So yeah, but we'll see. I think this guy has to really show results in this year, otherwise he's gonna get uphill.
It'll be interesting. It'll be definitely something I'm watching, and yeah, interesting to see where it ends up. I'm gonna ask you now a question that I didn't mean to ask, but since I'm hearing kids in the background, I'm gonna ask you the question, man. Like, how do you manage blockchain development and a founder's life and have kids? Which is obviously I don't know if I'm hearing one or two, but
Oh, sorry.
yeah, I don't have any. No, by no means. Don't be sorry. This is like a real question. How on earth do you manage like being a founder, a developer, and have children? I want to know the secret. I don't want you to say sorry, man. Share the secret.
No, I mean, sorry for the noise. I mean, it's a good question. It depends. It depends on who you ask and at what time you ask this question. But like I'd say, just the secret or the only advice that I have in general is that just focus and use the time fully, right? Like when you're working and when you're thinking about like blockchain, like really put all your effort and say, okay, where is it that I can do the bigger impact? And then like when you close your computer, you go to your kids and just try to spend the time in the best way, right? Like not just like half be there and it's never enough. It's always like you feel like, oh, I could be working and doing things better. I could be with my kids and be better. And this like life, that's always the case. But overall, I think like if you really look at yourself and look at your kids and the work you're doing and you see how these things evolve and progress, you can tell deep that at least you're giving it all and you're not doing a bad job. You could do it differently, you could do it better in some dimensions, but you can be satisfied. So that's kind of my philosophy. I don't know. I mean, yeah, but I'm happy to take advice.
I wish I had some, man. I don't have any kids. I wish this is my like, how do you manage that, man? I'm like, that's what I'm trying to think. I'm like, where to fit them in? I'm not sure. That's why I know how, well, no, let's not go into those jokes. Okay, wait. But, okay, okay, okay. Educational material. Let's go back to that. So, man, I have a question about, we talk a lot about missions and statements and communities and technology and philosophy and Composable Finance, for example, it's obviously a blockchain agnostic project in terms of like we are after innovation. This is what you're saying, we are looking to share features with people, not miss features. Now, this project that I have today, we're a validator, we build products, we have podcasts, we're blockchain agnostic. Yet we started in Cosmos, even though Cosmos was originally the most blockchain agnostic community, not today, I wouldn't say so. We went through rebranding, blah, blah, blah. But one of the, it's not about me, it's about trying to connect to you here. And what I'm trying to say is that one of my personal goals with the project is always been, it's not like a mission, but it's a mission, not a goal, to cure tribalism. Sounds like curing cancer, but, cure tribalism. But I found that to be, in fact, I now started a spin-off project. It's called Web3 Society, and the idea is to try to gather people who stopped caring about an ecosystem, the people who have, that went, anyways, question to you. To me, it's been a hell, like that particular part of getting people to be blockchain agnostic. How's that part? How on earth are you guys dealing with that part? How are you building a community that is blockchain agnostic?
Oh, this is a great question. I think it's interesting to understand, why people get so maximalist and so tribe or into something, yeah, that's one case, but I think like the majority of people don't like the majority of people are not rich, right? Like you have the OGs, you have early adopters. Yes, that is easy to understand. Why would they protect their interests, right? But like you also have like a large quantity of people that get very exciting about something, right? Like even in Cosmos, right? You have like bad kids, right? Like it's that's super popular and people are like really like passionate about and and it's really like a cool culture. I like all this, but sometimes I also wonder, like, why would people, get so much into it, right? So this is also like a, I guess, um, a feeling of belonging that is so appealing for us as human beings, right? And we see this being part of a group, and some of this of how do you define being part of a group? Well, it's like also opposing to other groups. So I think that's a bit of part of our human nature. Um, I think the only thing that we try to do at Composable, and I like personally, and also I try to challenge myself, is being open, just saying, okay, what is the new technology? What is the new kid on the block, right? Like DYDX, right? They moved from, Starkware to their own chain. Well, like, try to understand this. Why did this happen? Can we learn something from it? Did they actually uh, like did they have trade-offs and generally speaking communities as well, so we have Ethereum, we have L2s. Why are they different to app chains? Why they, and like I think from us being, as you mentioned, like chain agnostic, like we try to like put the facts, and try to like show our community what is exciting about each of these ecosystems that we're opening up to our community, right? And I think that's the only thing we can do, and try to like listen to them and show them, hey, like you were in Polkadot, you like share security, like whatever, like just look at Cosmos, they're introducing some of the cool elements of Polkadot, right? And the other way back, like look at, like they also are missing this and that. Why don't you come and try to use and convince them to use what you have in your community, and try to grow the pie. I think there's still like space for, there's not a zero sum game fully, and there's space for just for really like doing synergy between these different projects. So for us, even like we say this all the time internally, and I have it on my Twitter bio, right? Like, cross pollination, one block at a time, right? Like getting the best of each of these, spaces and sharing them, right?
It just sometimes gets, like extreme. Like, I mean, one thing is bugs. Another thing is like, I mean, we are a validator project. Okay. We build, like I say, public goods and stuff. The other weekend, we launched a vault on Interlay between Interlay and BTC. And I had somebody come to me like, but why did you launch a vault on Polkadot? Because it makes sense. We are like trying to do cross blockchain community. We're launching bridges. We have a lot of bridges. We run Nomic, Evmos, Composable, Interlay. This is like our way of showing that it's all connected. Nah, but they're not. But they're a Polkadot project, man. I was like, what do you even care, dude? We're just like a random validator, man. I was like, okay, man, but it gets ridiculous. That's the point. And sometimes I'm like, okay, I totally connect with what you say. Give people an incentive and they will follow that incentive because they not because they're stupid, but because, well, it's natural. You feel incentive, you're connected to that curiosity or incentive. Okay. And this is basically what you're saying. We're trying to show the cool features from but still, a lot of what I noticed as well, apart from the community, you also have, for example, the governance. And in different ecosystems, because there is no standard for governance, because we're trying to, to explore, I've noticed that, governance is not just approached, but even viewed in an extreme spectrum. Like, there is people from Ethereum who are like real Ethereum hardcore maximalists who don't even want any governance. They're like, well, no, governance is a scam, like, da, 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 da. Okay, but it's weird. And then you have like, anyways, you understand what I'm trying to say. Where is the, how have you been dealing with it? What are you trying to build? Like, I mean, how should a blockchain agnostic community's governance system look like? Should it introduce its own governance, or should it listen to the best things from all the blockchains that it's collecting? Like, what's your experience with this? Because it's a big subject, of course.
100%. Yeah, and also depends a lot on the structure of the community in the way of like how incentives and how power is distributed, right? Like, is it delegated? Do you still hold it as a token holder? Like in Cosmos, like I see validators have a lot of power, right? So that also shapes discussions and shapes interests. In Polkadot, I see it a bit more like atomic. People are more represented as them, whereas in Cosmos you can really see like the split between like validators and who they actually validate, because they validate different chains, right? And like and so in some way, like it is like a game of interests, and you just need to understand, um, first, like where you're gonna go, right? Like as a project, as a community, like what are your values, right? And be aligned with your community. Be sure that like you're communicating this properly, right? Because otherwise, people think that they are part of a community that maybe they're not. And so I think that's really important. And be aligned 100% just on this, and the rest is more like, um, choose the structure that optimizes like those values, right? Uh, so like for instance, like when you parameterize certain things, like okay, are we gonna use no with veto? Are we gonna use yes, no, whatever? Like all these things, like at the beginning, right? Like try to understand like what are we optimizing for? Are we optimizing for decentralization? Are we optimizing for moving fast? Are we like like all these things? Like you have so like the tooling is pretty, um, it's pretty granular. So it allows you to say, for example, okay, for these tracks, we're fine with like, this amount of votes. So I think it's about this of really understanding what the tooling gives you, but also what is the value for your community and for your project to sort of stay true to these values, right? But nevertheless, I think governance is a subject that we don't have much experience as as a decentralized community. This is like these are the first 5 years in history where we actually sort of get ourselves in this way from different cultures of people who think so differently, because in some way like it's a bit easier to govern in a decentralized way if you want, if we're in like in Greece, because we're all Greek, we all share our history, but like in Chihuahua chain, like we don't know each other, right? Like we don't know who each other is. We don't know if we have the same values. Like it's a bit random, but it's special.
I totally connect to what you say. I mean, it is. Whenever somebody asks me about governance and like, oh, look, blockchain, what did you, what good thou bring? What good does it bring, man? It existed, like literally, it's been used for a couple of years. What do you expect it to bring? Nothing. Right now, it's an experiment that is trying to theorize on certain points and assumptions. But it's trying to do something that has not been done before. And yeah, we'll see where it'll end up in 10 years. I mean, yeah, there is a lot of interesting experiments I think you could do there. And
Exactly, and like what is the value of a vote, right? Like I've seen some articles of like quadratic vote, right? Or like democracy. Like you and I, we have the same vote, but like in crypto, if you have more money than I have, then you have bigger vote. Like it's interesting, and then there's no right and wrong, and like again, each community needs to pick whatever it suits the best. It's like a country.
I like to talk about this example. It didn't catch on. Maybe that's already an answer. But about 3 years ago, one of the Ethereum dexes, they invented what was called holographic consensus. And it basically introduces a betting layer on top of the governance layer, where
Okay.
you can bet on the outcome of the result and get another token and it's like it's, it's an oracle on top of the governance. It's curious though, it's like how crazy can we go and try to see, man, what has been your biggest, you talked a lot about challenges. I had a question for you. What was a lot of your about challenges, but you already like kind of mentioned a lot of them, and it's obvious, from what you're talking about, those are the things that you are facing. What has been the biggest success in terms of trying to build a blockchain agnostic project community for you personally, something that you didn't expect so easy to happen or to happen at all, maybe?
I mean, I think our biggest success, at least that I can see, like very short term, to be like, now that I can measure it, I don't know what's going to happen in the next, like with the ongoing projects that that might come up. But like when I joined Composable, it was 2 years ago. I joined initially to build a IBC bridge to Solana, right? And we can do it. Like it was, we spoke with the Solana Foundation. Like it was not obvious. It was not apparently obvious. And there's been several cases of bridges and sort of sinking ecosystems where we failed or we couldn't find a way. And finally, like a year ago, a bit less than a year ago, I started like thinking differently about the problem, and now we're launching it like very soon, like in a matter of days. And to me, because of my history in Composo, like this is where I joined. This was my purpose at the beginning. Uh, and now how much Solana has grown, how much Cosmos has grown, right? And like seeing that we can put IBC into those ecosystems. Um, it is exciting. And now just going to Solana, right? And explaining to these guys, I have no idea what IBC is. And like, sort of displaying what Cosmos is. And the same way, and these two ecosystems really like growing so differently, but with so much, complementary elements. I think this is the this is the thing that to be honest, like, excites me the most of my journey, and based on the challenges and the difficulties that I experienced at the beginning.
It's interesting, but you're basically talking about incentives as well for yourselves. You're getting incentives in form of reward. We were talking about what you do to do. Yeah, it's interesting that here is the answer to everyone who is scared to explore other places. It's the incentives you get. That's what comes good from it. Okay, let's talk a little bit about bridges. Bridges is a topic that before IBC was almost a taboo in some maximalists. After IBC, it seems to have, sorry, not after, but as IBC kind of, and again, IBC is not the only bridge out there by far, not the only technology by far, very far, but IBC has kind of given people, I guess, hope in bridges. Still, bridges are definitely something that a lot of people in a lot of communities, they kind of like they carry, they get out the cross or their Star of David or whatever, to sprinkle some holy water before they make on the ledger before they make the transaction. What's how you guys are in a way a bridge project, right? Like you're of course much more than that, but in a way, it's a bridge, a dock, bridge, whatever. I'm sorry if it's not enough to describe, but anyways, what would you can we talk about bridge security and how has it progressed from a multi-sig, I don't know, 2 out of 3 account that secures your money and then does it via third party to where we are today in the industry, not necessarily just with IBC, but of course we can pay more attention to that if you want.
Yeah, I mean, I think bridging is probably like the use case or the industry within crypto or Web3 where it has progressed because of pain, because of people like getting hurt very much and losing a lot of money, because of, you know, of projects trying to solve a big problem in a way that it was short-sighted just to prioritize go-to-market. But I mean, this can happen anywhere, right? But like, and I think as we have moved on, everybody seems to understand the risks of this, and that there is no other way to sort of build something that's going to last time if you're not maximizing for security. And there are multiple solutions, as you correctly mentioned, right? You can, but I think no matter what path you choose, is like just saying I am going to build the most secure thing I can build for this. It seems to become the sort of the standard and the obvious way, and And all these companies and all these protocols, or whatever you can call it, have been pretty adamant on communicating this to the audience. It's like, you, because you as a bridge, you are essentially like, you're minting assets, right? You, you're printing money somewhere, right? Of course, like it has a backing. So you really want to be sure that all these protocols uh, have the right tooling and the right mechanisms to protect this, because otherwise all your effort it's worth nothing, right?
If we were to go a little bit more into the security, like maybe a bit more technical even, where would you say we are in terms of like the progression from, again, from the bridges we saw 5 years ago and today? What has changed? Well, what has made them more secure, if anything?
Well, yeah, no, I mean, definitely IBC in general, as sort of generalizing sort of lifeline connections, I think that's been very powerful, because that sets a standard, right? Like, again, like, I mean, you can build still like an intermediate layer with a multi-sig, whatever. But even if you do that, right, you have to level up your game a bit higher, right? Like you need to explain to your users, okay, we have this and that, and these are the measures that we have put in place in order to. So everything is converging towards, like, with different solutions, right? But towards like a much higher security standard. I think like CK is been helping a lot, because it allows us to increase the budget of what we can do out of chain, but without losing verifiability. So I think that's also like a really important tool that has allowed us to sort of push the boundaries of the design in a way that we can sort of increase the guarantees of security, right? And that's I think that's where the industry is going. You can see this, for example, like Succinct Labs. They recently are showing like a full implementation of Tendermint, like two implementation of Tendermint. The light client running on CK. One is like raw circuits. The other one is like a higher level. So like there are more and more like efforts showing you like you can do anything in CK now, right? Like, and you can do it at high level. So like, speed of development becomes faster. So like, if you just want to do like as you mentioned, 3 out of 4 multi-sig, like at some point everybody would know this is super lazy. This is very inefficient. I would never risk my funds on this solution, right?
Yeah, there is a lot of aggregators for users who are not able to, that appearing lately, for users who are not able to, unfortunately, check the code. Then like my advice here is to right now I think only L2.watch, for example, comes to mind, which is showing the Bitcoin L2, but there are similar websites like this that show bridges, and then they even show security, like what are they using, is it implemented, at what level it is. So I definitely advise people to follow
Yeah,
that.
the same with rollups. Yes, fully agree. Like, you just understand, like, do they have like what kind of proof they offer? How decentralized is this? Yes, I think as we move on, and we have more experience and more, unfortunately, more cases where people get rugged, this becomes like a necessity.
Don't hate me for this, but let's play a game. I'm 16, 15, no, 15, 16. I've heard the word Bitcoin before. I'm still in high school. Tell me about ZK proofs. I'm 16, man. I've heard Bitcoin before. I've heard Ethereum as well, but at least I heard the word. I even own zero point 0.1 Bitcoin. There we go. I know how to buy Bitcoin. Tell me what ZK proofs are.
Okay, that's a difficult question, but I'd say CK
Okay,
proof.
17.
That's okay. I mean, you could be 71 is still a difficult question.
Yes, exactly. I was just gonna say that.
No,
But
yeah.
yeah, let's try. No, but I
Yeah.
want to put you on the spot, man. Come on, I'm in high
No,
school, man.
no.
So that means
So,
I don't
so,
know what a lot of things mean. Come on.
so CK proof. The CK proof is essentially a, a piece of information that encodes uh, a computation. I know you're not gonna understand it, but I'm gonna define it, and I'm gonna allow you to ask me questions. Okay. So it's a piece of information that encodes a computation that somebody can verify, right? So, for example, you uh, you solve a problem, like a math. Your teacher gave you a problem, right? You solve a problem, and for example, like x plus 2 is 5, right? The solution is 5, is 3, correct? If you give me the solution, I would actually have a solution. I could solve it myself. I could go to a teacher and say, "Oh, I know as well the problem, right? The solution to the problem." But you want a mechanism in which you can prove to me that you have the solution, which is 3, without me being able to, for example, access to that solution, right? So this is one of the properties of CK, right? So for example, you can go to your dad and say, "Hey, dad, look, I solved it," and then your dad comes and say, "Hey, my kid has solved it." But then I have to trust your dad, right? So this is a way to say, I give you something that you can verify without disclosing this. This is one of the properties of CK, right? It has this sort of anonymity, or you know, zero knowledge.
You gave me the best example of a ZK proof right now while you were talking, man. I'm sorry, you just did it yourself without realizing. A parent's note to school about the kid being sick. This is a perfect example of a ZK proof, man, for a 16-year-old. A parent's note
Exactly.
to school, man, to the PE teacher. There we go, ZK proof. There we go. I love it. I
Exactly,
love it, man. I love it.
and for completeness, for people who really care about this, one is this, the property of not telling you anything about the solution, but the second one is like the verification of it, of that computation is very cheap, and this is a property that we use a lot in blockchain. That's one of the main reasons.
On when we go on the Composable website or the documentation, I don't remember if I saw it in the documentation. I think maybe it is the documentation. There is a line there. I think it's also on the website, actually, to be honest. There is a quote there. It's out of context, but it says something like IBC based communication. Now, what is IBC based communication? Because we all understand what IBC communication is. What is IBC based? Because it sounds kind of like, is it IBC or it's not IBC? So what's going on here? Let's L5 that a little bit.
Okay, no, that's a great point. I think what this quote intends to say is that we stand on top of IBC, but IBC is not enough for everything, and we want you as a user to say, the IBC principles, we embrace them, but we want you to be able to do everything what you want cross-chain without having any issues, without having to think about the complexity of it, but still embracing the IBC principles. So it's like we're IBC based in some way, but we just give IBC wings. That's in some way that's I think that's sort of the ethos of this quote.
Okay. I like that. I like that. There is a lot of talk about, cross-chain today. Every cross-chain, X-chain, cross-chain. In your view, how will cross-chain DeFi look in after this bull market or in 5 years? I don't know, whatever. Pick your own time scale. But I want to know your opinion about the future of cross-chain DeFi.
To be honest with you, and I remember like I've seen.
It's not gonna happen.
No. I mean, so what I want to tell you is like, for example, I saw was it Sunny that wrote a tweet that like speaking about like sort of bridging or no, sorry, creating a factory for creating tokens on Osmosis, right? Like this is not cross chain, but like now that we're entering the Solana, IBC connection with Osmosis in this case, right? Like for me, one of the very exciting things to see what happens is like how fast are these Solana shitcoins, sorry for the word, or like whatever they called, are going to be bridged and create markets on Osmosis. This is one of the things that to me is a bit like the sort of the tipping point to understand if all this really cross-chain economy is going to happen, or are still people going to just like bridge the funds and operate on the other ecosystem, or are we just going to have like this speed of globalization within chains? And I think this is one of the first steps where we can see it because it's cheap, both are fast, there's little friction. So that this is one of the times where I'm like, very, very like just really seeing, is it going to happen?
At the same time, I personally have the fear and the hope at the same time And I think we're underestimating to the extent of what's going to happen with cross-chain economies, decentralized economies. I think people are going to build layers on top of those derivatives that are between chains, because there is a time when they're, man, I can see that happening. I
Like
can
the
see
Ethereum governance tokens that you're talking about.
I
Yes,
can see that. I can see those steroids, man.
the level of
This is not very
degeneracy.
far. I think.
Yes, 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 yes,
Let's
yes.
do it. Let's do it. Ape, 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 ape. We have to ape. Come on, man. We are here. We are here to try test it till we die. You know,
Exactly,
test it till
exactly.
die trying.
We deserve it. We deserve it.
Man, Blas, and this is for all the listeners. Usually we go a little bit longer. Today we're gonna cut a little bit because unfortunately both me and Blas have a thing to attend, more or less, kind of. But anyways, long story short, I'm gonna jump into the blitz. It's 5 questions. I don't want to do it once again, but yeah, okay, let's do it. I don't want to do it when I have a conversation that flows, and I want to like, man, again, it's always like that. Always, 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 always. Okay. Blitz, it doesn't mean you have to answer very quickly. I call it blitz, but you can answer like with an extensive answer would even be preferable. So first one is a bit random. Give me a song or a movie or a book that has been with Blas throughout all his life or most of his life and impresses you.
Sultans of Swing, Dire Straits song
That was quick.
from, I
I like
guess,
it.
the 70s maybe.
I like it.
Just
That's quick.
from being a kid myself and enjoying the guitar and the song and not understanding a single word of what these guys were singing, to like, singing it to my sons and, enjoying it with them as a parent. So yeah, 100% is one of the songs, and yeah, pieces of art that has, been part of my background story. So yeah.
Nice. Nice. Okay. If we're talking about technological directions, blockchain being, for example, one, machine learning another, please don't say blockchain. Give me a technological direction that, apart from blockchain, I know it's not machine learning and not AI already, that you have a curiosity in.
Um, I think personally, telecommunications, like like satellite internet, like all these things are to me very exciting, and probably there's gonna come things that we like, as satellite becomes cheaper and all these things, and this is just gonna blow our minds. Yeah, but communication, like, yeah, telecommunications.
We're a bare metal validator. I know the obsession you're talking about. I understand. I understand
Yeah,
that
going
obsession. I'm already
faster,
shaking when I
cheaper
talk
and
about these
faster
things.
and cheaper. Yeah, exactly. Speed of
um,
light.
speed of Elon, speed of Musk. First, we have to break the speed of Musk, and then we get to the speed of light.
Exactly.
Give me one project, blockchain project. Of course, you are welcome to say Ethereum or Cosmos or Bitcoin, but it will be more interesting if you say something that is less famous. That not about the token. Please, let's not talk about the token, but something that you think, oh my god, those guys are cool. It doesn't even have to have a token, to be honest with you. The project,
Gito
but
Labs. Gito Labs, number one
never heard of it.
project.
What is it?
Oh, um, so in some way, if I have to explain it to you, like, so Gito Labs is a Solana project, and it's a combination in some way, right? But like, yeah, just allow me to take like a license for this, but like, it's a combination of Flashbots and Lido, or Stride if you want. So it's, liquid staking token plus MEV, and they have, and skip in Cosmos terms, and skip, like, skip protocol. So these three things combined, uh, it has huge adoption. Validators have adopted, people have adopted the liquid staking token. So this is like a groundbreaking project that only exists on Solana. But I mean, it could exist somewhere else, right? But yeah.
Okay. For all the listeners, of course, all the things me and Blas mentioned, you can find the show notes. So if you want to check it out, check it out. Okay, last two, a bit weirder, but a bit more abstract, but I like them more. First one, give me one motivational thing that keeps Blas out of bed every day, building blockchain agnostic communities and solving social problems, economical problems, and everything else.
Basically, you only live once, right? And the best you can do is use your time the best you can, and not waste your time. Whatever that means to you, whatever that means to me, and but like just live truthfully to that principle.
Claro, señora, verdad, claro. Bravo, bravo. Okay, last one. Last one. Made up, real person, could be a family, could be a writer, dead or alive, cartoon, movie, doesn't matter. Not an idol, because I don't believe personally in idols, but one personage or a person or a real character or a writer or a developer, doesn't matter, who inspires Blas. Doesn't, not an idol, not a guru, but has an inspiration on Blas throughout your life.
Um, when I was a teenager, I used to be a huge fan of a piano player from Argentina. And there was one week where I went to see him 5 times in one week. So I went five
What is the
shows.
name?
His name is Charlie, like yeah, Charlie Garcia, and he really inspired me. On his career, on the music he made, on being like groundbreaking. Like for example, like in Argentina we had like a military government, and at that time there was like a lot of things were like forbidden, and this guy like the language that he would use to just communicate, things that we're not allowed to say, and like the music and yeah, all the like and then like just being like very much rock, being like progressive, like yeah, very complete. And I think like I've learned from this guy that they how nice and how much life is about of taking risks, right? Like you can be super famous and people could like you, and then the guy would just like come up with something extremely new that like half of people would hate. But I think like if you want to build legacy or you want to build things that are meaningful, you need to be taking risk and live on the edge, and I always got very inspired, and I love this guy.
That is a beautiful answer, man. Thank you. I really liked it a lot. On that note,
Better the question. Thank you so much.
yeah, I hope that everybody takes from that what you try to put into it. At least I what I hear I'm taking for myself. But on that note, Blas, thank you very much. Thank you for the time, and thank you for answering the questions.
Best
And
podcast ever. Thank you so much for
thank you,
everything. Really pleasure.
thank you, thank you, thank you. Please don't hang up just yet. This is just a goodbye for the listeners and everybody else who's been listening to us. Thank you for tuning in, and until next time, bye bye everybody. This content was created by the Citizen Web3 Validator. You may support our work by delegating to any of our nodes.